Pleased to be joined now by the one, the only, the legendary, Twitter's favorite Dallas Cowboys follow. You can follow him on Twitter at Connor NFL Draft. That's Connor with an O, not Connor with an E, between the N and the R. From bloggingtheboys.com, the Blogging the Boys podcast network, co-host of Talking the Draft. It is Connor Livesay. Connor, how often do people say Livesay in your daily life?
Probably 60-40 Livesay.
Right.
We rarely get it right. A lot of Livesay, even though there's no L in the back half of my name. But
interesting.
Sometimes funny story. I know we're off track already, but sometimes my own family pronounces our last name different from week to week. So
you have I mean, I don't want to reveal too much here, but when you sign your signature, when you do a signature, you have a last name that's really a great one. I don't know if you do cursive, what the situation is, but if you do go cursive, the L is a really strong start, and then you get to finish it with the swoop of the Y. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You got some really swoopy letters in your last name.
Yeah, no, for sure. Good last name. Like I said, when me and my wife got married, we actually had to call my parents and be like, how should she start pronouncing her last name now?
Wow.
So.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm glad you guys crossed that bridge. Connor, we're going to do something every Monday from now up until the 2022 NFL Draft. Nobody has ever done anything with this name before. We're the very first people to ever do it. Mock Draft Monday. Very simple. What it is, we're going to run through a mock draft with a simulator here on the Blog of the Boys YouTube channel. Please do subscribe. Connor will, of course, continue to talk about the draft with Mark Schofield on Talking the Draft. You can hear that every Wednesday on the Blog of the Boys podcast network. They discuss all things draft related and have a lot of draft prospects on as interviews. But yeah, so we're going to be doing mock drafts every single Monday here on the channel. We would love to hear how people think or what they think about the picks that you made, Connor. I'm just here to stir the pot. You're the one who's going to get everybody in trouble. So you can hit Connor up on Twitter or leave a comment like we said, and we'll get to it. So today, Connor, and so everybody knows we're recording this on Saturday, March 26th, but this is dropping on the channel on Monday, the 28th. The New York Jets just signed Greg Zuerlein if you want to draft a kicker for the Cowboys. But today we are using Pro Football Focus's mock draft simulator. We're doing a full 7-round Dallas Cowboys mock draft. So Connor, we're obviously selecting on behalf of the Cowboys. Everything looked good to you so far?
So good. So far, so good.
Okay, we're going to enter the draft. So, cannot mess this up. Here we go. I'm looking at the external screen, which is off to the side here for me, which is why I'm not looking at the camera. I still love you, loyal audience. But do you have anything you want to say before we start, Connor? Anything, before the action and the bullets start flying? Anything you want to get off your chest?
Real quick. So a lot of people are talking about trading back. I don't think they're going to trade back because I think they got a chance to still pick a first. There's not a ton of first round graded players in the class, probably the least that we've seen in a few years. So I just think you're at 24. There's going to be probably 2, possibly 3 quarterbacks go in front of you. There's always going to be 2 or 3 guys who, kind of wow you, the second round guys who go in the first in front of you. So I just don't think you're going to see a situation this year where they trade away from a first round player. So I know that's been a topic of conversations, but I think they stick there and pick at 24. And also, like you said, this is on Saturday. So if we pick such and such and his pro day is Monday morning and he tears his ACL or whatever it could be, do not come here and yell at us because we are doing this prior to all of that.
Super optimistic note there from Connor. One thing I will say too, and we might trade around. Who knows how this goes? Again, that's the fun of simulators. And today we're using PFFs. Maybe we'll bounce around again throughout this series. But we thought last year, remember we did a ton of mocks, ton of discussion, obviously talking the draft, and it was, oh man, they have all these picks. They're going to move around. There's no way they pick, was it 10 times? And then they wound up picking up the extra third from the Micah trade. There's no way they're going to pick 11 times. Sure enough, they picked 11 times. So let's see. Are you ready to start?
Let's do it.
All right. We have started the draft. Okay. Wow. Everything is so fast. It's so intimidating. That's just the magic of simulators. So we'll go through this. We'll spend a little bit more time on the first round than anything else. But very quickly, Connor, first overall pick, Kyle Hamilton. How do you feel?
I mean, I love Kyle Hamilton. I don't think that'll be the first overall pick, but that's what is great about these things.
Right. Anything? What's your favorite pick here? As I scroll through, favorite pick so far. I mean, Kyle Hamilton is fun. Trent McDuffie went to the Texans, who took him with the pick that they picked up from the Cleveland Browns in the Deshaun Watson trade. The Eagles took Jameson Williams from Alabama. So they have, and then Jermaine Johnson back to back right there, 15 and 16. So your thoughts on whether the Eagles improved or not right there?
The Eagles went Jameson Williams.
Oh, and then they
Jermaine
doubled down with Chris
Johnson.
Olave at 19.
Yeah, I mean, and I do think, I mean, they're not, there's a few teams, like Green Bay's 2 first-round picks. There's been like whispers that they could actually double down on receivers too with their 2 first-round picks after they lost Devontae Adams. So, I mean, it sounds crazy to take 2 guys in a 4-pick structure, whatever that is, but I mean, it wouldn't really shock me. I mean, they need a lot of help at receivers. So, I mean, they drafted one in the first round last year. So,
and the year before that. I mean, you would have 4 first-round receivers in a span of 3 years. Malik Willis does make it to the Pittsburgh Steelers here in this, particular mock.
That's the first quarterback off the board.
Yeah, I'm just making sure. Kenny Pickett's still there.
Okay.
So you could trade back if somebody is dying to pick him. But okay, where are you at here? What are you thinking? What do you like?
I mean, it's going to – I think in this scenario it would come down to Tyler Linderbaum, Kenyon Green, and Zion Johnson. Now, I think personally that they would prefer – I have Tyler Linderbaum graded higher than Kenyon Green and Zion Johnson, but I think they're going to prefer the left guard that could also play center. And
as opposed to the exclusive center.
Right.
Right.
And I think that – again, like if there's a situation where maybe, let's just say there's a situation where Zion Johnson or Kenyon Green, one of those guys goes and Tyler Linderbaum's still there. If their guy at left guard is gone, maybe they would go Linderbaum over that second left guard. But in this scenario, both of those guys are still around, I'm assuming, in Zion Johnson and Kenyon Green. And I think they prefer Zion Johnson, but I think it's a coin flip for them. So
I think this is a good first mock for us because this is sort of the plight that might be very real. It was difficult to envision what happened last year, obviously, with Dallas getting wiped out. I mean, the only scenario we envisioned was, if they get wiped out, that means Kyle Pitts is still available. And we had a lot of fun with those hypotheticals. I do think that the consensus of Cowboys Twitter would probably be Tyler Linderbaum, excuse me. I think that's where everybody would want them to go. Do you think that they are in a vacuum getting an inferior player if they take anyone else?
No, because I think for me, I think I like. I mean, again, like I don't see them going this direction, but like Devontae Wyatt's still there. I think he's a really good ball player. Like if they went Devontae Wyatt, if they're like, oh, we're finally going to value the defensive tackle position.
Okay, well that's
Wyatt,
not happening.
like,
let me rephrase. if they were to take Linderbaum, if they were to, instead of taking Linderbaum, take Zion or Kenyon Green, are they taking an inferior player in the name of prioritizing the left guard position just because Linderbaum doesn't move?
I get what you're saying. No, I mean, again, like if you're looking at my board, you'd probably say yes because I have Linderbaum so high, but I like Green and Johnson a lot. They're just slightly below Linderbaum. And I do agree that, again, like people always say you don't draft for needs, but teams draft for needs. So your need is huge at left guard right now. And Tyler Linderbaum isn't a guy who's going to play left guard for you. He maybe could, but he's never done it, and you're not going to project that with a first-round pick. So for me, I would say no because you really need a left guard, and both of those guys are left guards.
Gotcha.
And again, like it's not like they're graded around difference. Where
right.
It's like taking TJ or taking Taco Charlton over TJ Watt or taking. I mean, not to bring that back up and crush Cowboys fans, but
sure. Well, you did, but so for the purposes of covering all of our bases here, because this is the first round, so this is the kind of the most important pick to land. Treylon Burks, any consideration? Just because that option is available, and I think that right now everyone's saying like, well, with all these options, especially with Burks right there, trade back. But I don't know. I mean, again, we're gonna make a pick here for the purposes of the exercise, but that is like if they traded back right here, I don't think anybody's like devastated about it, unless they trade out of night one.
I mean, especially if it's like you move from 24 to 28, where you're gonna have Linderbaum, Johnson, Green, or Burks there. You got four
Right.
players. One of those guys is still going to be there. But like you said, I mean, I'm sure out of those four guys, they have maybe 2 first-round grades
Mm-hmm.
still. So I would say let's do. I did Zion Johnson in my mock draft for blogging the boys the other day, and let's do Kenyon Green in this one.
Okay. As a fighting Texas Aggie, I approve. What is your dog's name? Is Dallas, right?
Is
Yeah.
Dallas? He's not
Good.
happy.
Okay. Well, we're doing it. Kenyon Green is the pick. Are you feeling good about it? Let's see. Zion went to Kansas City. Sam Howell went to Detroit. DeMarvin Leal went to Indianapolis. We just had an article about him go up on the site. Okay, let's see here. Let's get caught up here now that we're on the clock again. Kenneth Walker went to the Steelers. Steelers improving their offense. George Pickens went to the Bears. You excited for Justin Fields?
That's a good pick. I love the. Where did he go in this one? What
He
number
went
overall?
48 to Chicago.
Well, he fell to 56 in my
Sky
write-up
Moore made it to the Jets, who were interested in Tyreek Hill. So I think if you're a Jets fan, you're probably feeling somewhat good. I see, like, I mean, look, it's a simulator, but like, there's no way Houston's taking a quarterback at 37. Like, no, there's just no way.
I would say no.
But the Jets, by the way, doubled down at receiver. They got Sky Moore after they took Traylon Burks at 35.
That's fun receiver room.
Again,
Elijah Moore, Sky Moore, and Traylon Burks.
Look, this is a necessary exercise to kind of get a somewhat grasp on the way things could fall. But again, the Detroit Lions with the 32nd overall pick took Sam Howell, and then at 34 overall took Kenny Pickett. So not exactly the most realistic thing right there. But Zion made it to Kansas City. I was just seeing Devontae Wyatt went to the Titans, and Linderbaum went 1 pick after us to the Bills at 25. So nothing really devastating, I don't think, here so far. But we're on the clock here, Connor, at 56 overall. You see the board in front of you. What are your thoughts?
What receivers are left?
Let's take a look.
I feel like that's the direction they want to go. Jalen Tolbert, Christian Watson. Okay, some good receivers left. Man, I wish I had a sense that they liked Jalen Tolbert. I mean, they don't love the small school guys most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Justin Ross just did not test well, and I think they're trying to get more explosive on offense. And
do you remember when Justin Ross first broke onto the scene? They were like, people were like, "Oh my gosh!" Like it just goes to show how much can change in a few years.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, no doubt. I mean, it's you're looking at 2 small school guys who would make your offense more explosive, and Jalen Tolbert and Christian Watson. You're looking at Justin Ross, who, again, I think he's going to be a guy who could fall because of the injuries and just lack of development in his game. Alec Pierce is a guy that has climbed a lot. I'm not sure. Kind of a tricky spot for him because I think he kind of should go somewhere between your 2nd and 3rd round pick. So you might be reaching a little bit here. Let's look at the edge rushers real quick and linebackers, and then we'll make a decision.
All right. You are so picky. Edge rushers, here we go. Anybody strike your fancy immediately? I'm sorry. Let me get the receivers off the board here.
I mean, Benito's fun. He's, a smaller, undersized guy, kind of not Micah Parsons, but like he played outside linebacker at Oklahoma. He rushed the passer a little bit, probably projects more as a better pass rusher than a traditional linebacker. I'm not big on Drake Jackson. I think he kind of just plateaued throughout his career at USC. Kingsley Ngambare, he's a guy who's not going to offer a ton as a pass rusher, but he's just kind of your solid DN. So I would say, let me see linebacker real quick, and then I think it's going to come down to one of those receivers or linebacker.
All right, your linebackers are here. Now, I should mention some of these things could be aided by the fact that the Cowboys could sign, I don't know, Bobby Wagner or Anthony Hitchens reportedly wants to make a return to Dallas. That was a rumor that kind of swirled about a month ago. So maybe they do address this need, before draft day. Brian Asamoah was a guest on Talking the Draft, was he not, Connor?
He was. I love Brian. Man, out of these guys, my favorite, I think that receiver room can stretch a little bit. I would really love Quay Walker here. I know he's graded a little bit lower on PFF. I think he'll go probably before the Cowboys' second round pick. But if he's still available at 56, he would be the slam dunk pick for me. Quay Walker, the Georgia linebacker.
All right, we ready to do it then?
I would
So
do
even
that.
though Brian Asamoah is your friend, he was a guest on your podcast on our network. You're literally overlooking him here.
I'm not saying I'm overlooking him.
You're actually literally overlooking him. It's exactly what's
I
happening.
have Quay Walker graded higher than Brian Asamoah.
All right, then Quay Walker it is. Offense and defense both now addressed by the Cowboys in their first 2 picks. Let's see here.
Can we pause it real quick?
I'm coming. This computer that I'm doing it on is a little bit slower. Okay, we've paused, and now what would you like to see? Jalen Tolbert went to the Giants, by the way, at 67.
Let's
Drake Jackson went to the Jaguars. Alec Pierce went to the Broncos. That offense obviously going to be a lot of fun. Trey McBride went to the Buccaneers. Another interview on Talking the Draft. Trey McBride.
Yep.
Nick Bonito went to the Falcons. Okay, here's where we're at. This is everything since Dallas' last pick.
All right, let's you said Christian Watson's gone.
He went to the Bills 1 pick later. The Bills have the Bills right now are the 2016 Jaguars that present like the alternate reality for the Cowboys. Like you could go Tyler Linderbaum and Christian Watson as opposed to Kenyon Green and Quay Walker.
Let's see if the Colts will let us come up so we can get our receiver.
Okay, so
which I think again we said this a lot last year, but I think you could see they got 4 5th-round picks. Maybe they'd be aggressive in moving some of those to move up and kind of secure their guy.
Right. So
let's see if we can offer them 88.
So here's what's going to happen. Again, I want to acknowledge that I'm actually going to slow this down first because the computer that we're doing this on, just again, peek behind the curtain. The show is being hosted on one computer. The simulator is running on a different one. The simulator computer is not the fastest one in the world. So I'm going to resume the draft to offer a trade. So I slowed down the speed so that it does not take the Colts off the clock before I do. So we're good here. Now let's offer this trade to the. I'm sorry. What would you like to offer, Connor?
All right. So we got 88, and where are they at? 73. So
yes.
88 and 7. Let's do 88 and let's see if they'll so we're moving on at 15 spots. Let's try that 2nd, 5th round pick and see if they'll let us come up 15 spots for a 5th.
Okay, so you want to throw 167 in.
Yeah, let's just see what it looks like there.
Okay.
I will say the trade value on PFF is pretty good.
Now, just because this is interesting, this is one of the selections that Indianapolis received from the Carson Wentz trade. Just again, to show how the draft can play itself out. Okay, so let's see here. They do not like that, Connor. They don't feel good.
What about our first 5th round pick? What is that?
All right, that is the Amari Cooper compensation. That is the net gain from Amari Cooper. So I hope you are comfortable. I mean, you do want to trade up to draft a wide receiver, not accepted. So I think we've got to move on.
Let's let it roll a couple picks, and we'll try to maybe see where they go and see what's left.
All right, let's see here. They took Brandon Smith, so no, and I've kept the draft slowed down. I actually meant to slow down. Calvin Austin went to the Browns.
Let's think about moving up now to get our guy.
All right, we have paused. So only one receiver has gone since you wanted to trade up with. I'm sorry, John Mechie went to the Atlanta Falcons as well, just now. So 2 receivers off the board. You want to trade with New England?
This works out well because 1, New England does like to trade back a lot. 2, we can move up for our receiver or our tight end because we know that it sounds like Dalton Schultz might play on that tag and they might look to draft the tight end to kind of maybe take for him after 2022. So either way here, we'll let's try and see what are we moving up here now? Just a couple spots.
So if you look, PFF thinks I've currently offered the 2nd, 5th round pick that the Cowboys have. Their true 5th round pick.
Let's do our 7th just for those 3 spots, which they should still do that because
there is no 7th round pick for the Cowboys, but we do have the 6th round pick that was actually Cleveland's
swap. So yeah, let's try that. That should work.
Boom. All right, Connor, you did it. The Cowboys are on the clock. You want to see? You want Carson Strong? You want to talk about it? You curious at all?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
So let's see what receivers are left, and let's see the tight end.
Okay, let me get both up here for you. We have, well, I don't know. A lot of people, a large contingent of Cowboys brass present at the SMU Pro Day right before the weekend. This Jalen's here, Connor. You got a lot. I know you got a lot of people in your mentions. There's a lot of tight ends here that people like, actually.
Yeah.
Cowboys, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Jelani Woods one of their 30 visits where you have a tracker going at bloggingtheboys.com? I'm very certain that he is. I'm double checking. But do you have...
See, again, in this puts, because I love Wan'Dale Robinson.
He is one of their 30 visits. So is Cade Otton, by the way. So we have 2 of their scheduled 30 visits on the board right here as far as tight ends are concerned.
All right, and our next pick's at 126.
129.
129. Let's I think we got to go receiver here.
Wow,
we're trying to get more
explosive.
We're trying to get more explosive on offense.
Okay.
I like. You know what? The tight ends are staring me in the face though too, man.
Yep.
God, this is tough because I like Khalil Shakir out of Boise State. We know they love their Boise State guys.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of he kind of fits what the Cowboys need, a slot player.
And they just lost a Boise State receiver in Cedric Wilson. So, one in, one out.
All right, take it off receivers and tight ends, and let's see just best player available. Let's see what that looked like again.
You could say please, Connor. I mean,
please,
wouldn't kill you.
Please. You know what I think we need to do here?
Khalil?
RJ? No.
What do you want to do, Connor?
Where's Sam Williams at?
You want me to... I'm just going to search for him. I mean, it's just... So, again, this is not the best computer, so...
There he is. I think that's your pick.
So you came up. You wanted to come up for a receiver.
I did.
And then you pivoted to tight end, and now you want to go edge rusher.
It's called painting a picture, and then we're actually changing it up.
Okay. Connor's on Twitter at Connor NFL Draft for anyone who has any thoughts.
We told the Patriots that we were coming up for a receiver because we had to trick them a little bit.
Okay. Are you ready?
Look, Sam Williams is graded as the 132nd player in PFF's thing. I think he's going to go right around this area.
Okay.
They need an edge rusher. They have Sam Williams. They like Sam Williams. Dan Quinn was working him out at Ole Miss the other night. They talk with him a lot.
An actual video, by the way, of this is hanging around Twitter of Dan Quinn working him out, and I think I think there was another video of him talking about the experience as well.
It was.
So
let's go Sam Williams. I like the Sam Williams pick here.
Are you ready? You sure?
Yep.
Positive.
I'm positive.
All right.
We're gonna get a terrible grade by PFF on this because we've technically reached on 2 players, but I think we've gotten them a lot later.
Let's see
than
here.
Gonna go.
No, Khalil's still hanging out. Oh no, he went to Kansas City. I'm really glad I slowed this down. Carson Strong went to Baltimore. Watch out, Lamar Jackson. Your tight ends are still hanging out, Connor. There goes Jeremy Ruckert, though. There goes Isaiah Likely.
Okay.
Isaiah Spiller just went. I'll check it in a moment. I mean, I have a personal interest as an Aggie. Cade Otton went to the Jets.
We're gonna have a good player here. We got faith.
Let's see. Okay. All right. So hang on. I do have to see where Spiller went. Just out of personal curiosity. He went to the... Ooh, I love that pick. I love him in Baltimore's offense. Man, again, like, J.K. Dobbins is coming back. I know this isn't a top 100 pick, but let's relax, Ravens. Okay, anyway. All right, Connor. So we have addressed so far the offensive line. We've addressed the defense in spades. You have yet to come out of this with a wide receiver or a tight end option. It is now the 4th round, the end of the 4th round. This is the same round where the Cowboys did draft Dalton Schultz, so we know that value can be found. Value can be found anywhere, to be clear, but just for the purposes of symmetry in that sense. Let's get wide receivers and tight ends on the board. I assume that's where you want to go?
Yeah. Yep, it is.
And again, Khalil went to the Chiefs, so he is off the board. I don't think there's a wide receiver here who you're going to love, but I could be wrong.
And let's be real. This is no one else's fault but our own. We traded
No,
away a
this
good
is no one else's
receiver.
fault but yours, Connor. I'm here as just a host to stir things up.
I think it's got to come down here to Jelani Woods. I think Jelani Woods I like Woods a lot better than the SMU tight end. And I think he'll end up probably going ahead of the SMU tight end just because of how much of an athletic freak he is.
And again, he is a scheduled 30 visit for the Cowboys. They
Yeah.
do not spend those on players who they do not have serious interest in.
That's the pick.
But they don't have to spend one on Grant because of the SMU connection, to be fair. But I mean, just for full context.
That's the pick, I think.
Jelani Woods?
Yep.
All right. Sorry, Dalton Schultz. Connor hates you. Okay. Let's see. The Packers have a quarterback. Of course they do. Yeah, slowing this down was a good evolution of the process. We've come a long way from the beginning here, Connor. Nothing here is really, I think, devastating yet. I don't know how well you can see. I know it's tiny font for people. Cowboys are on the clock yet again, and Grant is still there. So good pick by you, Connor, letting him fall. Yep. So how are you feeling so far?
I think we definitely got to look at receiver now.
Okay.
We haven't added there yet. We need to.
Cowboys receiver room at the moment consists of CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, who might not be ready for the start of the season, James Washington, Simi Fehoko, Noah Brown. I mean, we'll see about Malik Turner. But yeah. Who do you want to add to that mix?
Kyle Phillips, Kevin Austin. Those are two explosive guys. Austin tested really well this year. Tyquan Thornton's a guy out of Baylor who would also add some explosiveness to their offense. Bo Melton is another guy who's kind of explosive. So scroll down a little bit. Let me just see if they got some guys graded lower. Danny Gray's got some good speed to him. That's probably a little early for him. All right, let's
I like the Connor.
I like the. Where are we at right now? What pick are we at?
We are at pick 155.
Okay.
This, and again, just for the full narrative of it all, this is the Amari Cooper selection. So it is actually kind of poetic that this would be where we get a wide receiver.
I think we go with Kevin Austin here. I mean, he's a guy who's going to add explosiveness. You can manufacture touches to him. He's not going to. I mean, again, you'd still be looking at CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and James Washington as your top three receivers with this one. But I think he's a guy that, we've seen the Chase Claypools get drafted later and kind of develop into good, explosive athletes who develop into good players.
Name another Notre Dame skill position player, though, that has developed.
Who's the guy in Baltimore? He's a receiver. He had a really good rookie season, and then I think he got hurt last year.
You're not talking about Hollywood Brown.
No, it's gonna bug though, so I'll look it up.
You're talking recently?
Man, what is? Yeah. He's only in his second or third year. He had a good. I interviewed him too when we did the Miles Boykin. Boykin, Notre Dame guy, good athlete.
Okay, still though, not on Chase Claypool's level.
No, but got drafted late and developed into. I think he started for them quite a bit his rookie year.
Okay. Then Kevin Austin Jr. it is. You feel good. Okay. That's the pick. So, again, one wide receiver out, one wide receiver in with that pick. Nice symmetry there for the Cowboys. Josh Johnson went to the Saints, by the way. Let's see here. We are on the clock yet again. 2 more picks remaining after this, Connor. What position would you like to look at here? You haven't taken a defensive tackle yet. Oh my gosh, Connor, we're moving around.
I had to move a little bit. The leaf blower, the guy's doing our lawn today, and the leaf blower just got pounded right by my window.
Okay, I hadn't realized that was happening. Mock draft Monday off to a great start. So we haven't addressed. We have addressed edge rusher. But we have not addressed the defensive tackle position yet. Would you like to go there? Would you like to address the offensive tackle position? I mean, how are you feeling?
What's the defensive tackles look like?
Again, please wouldn't hurt you. I mean, just one time. Just
Please. Ooh, I love Otito here.
Tito, another guest on Talking the Draft, who you can hear again by subscribing to the Blog on the Boys Podcast Network, wherever you get your podcast. More interviews are to come. Connor is always hustling, sometimes from one room to the other.
I would pick Otito here. I think he's a guy who he fills that big one tech role. I think he's a lot. I mean, again, I didn't love Quentin Bohanna coming out. I think which again, he played some this year. I think a lot of people wanted more from him, but I mean, I think some people correlate big guys to like, oh, they're run stuffers, but that just never was really Bohanna's game.
But everybody thought like, oh, he's massive
Right.
and he's an athlete, he can move,
Right.
and you're right. I mean, and it
Right.
could still work out. It just hasn't yet.
Absolutely. So Otito's a guy who's a little bit, he was a wrestler. He plays with more of that run defense mentality at that one technique position, but he's quick and he's athletic and he's not going to be a good pass rusher, but he's not going to be an absolute liability there either. And they like UCLA defensive linemen. They drafted Odighizuwa last year. They like to look at those guys. They looked at the older Odighizuwa a few years ago. They were really interested in him too. So I like Otito here. I think he fits in for a position they need and can help provide some quality depth to the interior of that defensive line.
And considering you passed on another Talk of the Draft guest and Brian a little whiles back, we have to at least get one of them in our first mock. So Otito is the pick. Great. 2 selections left, and they come not back to back, but just about. So Cowboys on the clock. It is compensatory pick time, Connor. What would you like to do here? What position do you want to look at 176? We're effectively shopping for both picks at the same time. I know the Lions are right there in between, but you can kind of get a sense of things.
Right. So we've gone left guard, linebacker, edge. Was it wide receiver after edge?
No, tight end, wide
Tight
receiver.
end. Okay. I
And
think they
then
might look to
defensive tackle.
They might look to double dip at receiver in this draft, and Kyle Phillips, UCLA receiver, still around. I mean, I would like that pick. It would be. God, I wish I trusted Reggie Robertson's health because 2 years ago I thought he was going to be the next Julio Jones.
But like thinking about their needs, they have signed James Washington. But you're right that and I think the last time they double dipped at receiver, correct me if I'm wrong, was 2018 when they took they took Gallup in the 3rd and then Cedric in the 6th. So they do need depth, right? Like, because again, we don't know what's going to happen with Malik Turner. Don't know if Noah Brown's going to have a similar sort of training camp like he did last year where he fought and kept himself on the roster. Don't know what Simi Fehoko is going to look like in year 2. I know people are going to be like, well, you just drafted him, dude. He was a 6th-round pick. Like, if he doesn't make the team this year, the world is not over. And you're talking about a 5th-round pick, granted, but I mean, you need bodies, especially because you don't know what Michael Gallup's injury situation is going to be week 1.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, like I said, I do think that they're going to look to add multiple receivers. We got that explosive athlete in Kevin Austin that has some size to him. And I wonder if they go for like your more, I mean, Kevin Austin's a guy who wins deep. I think Kevin Austin's a guy who will get taken on day 3 and he'll have I'm not saying I mean, again, like the Miles Boykin type of impact.
Right.
But man, like Danny Gray's a guy out of kind of a local school, SMU. We know they were at their pro day. Guy who ran 4.33, 34-inch vertical jump, 126-inch broad jump. I mean, again, like I think he's a guy who's going to be a better pro than he was at SMU. So for me, I mean, I would take Danny Gray here. I think they like those SMU guys. We've seen that. They've added a similar explosive guy in Kevin Austin, and then Danny Gray's a guy who can play in the slot, can play outside, play some special teams for you. And you have changed your receiver room with 2 day 3 picks, which it's hard to say that because maybe one of those guys doesn't make the team or you have a Simi Fehoko situation. But most of your receivers are 4 or 5 guys right now, and now you have 2-4-3, low 4-3 guys with some size and some explosiveness to their game.
I will say, Connor, if an SMU receiver is what you covet, there's one on the free agent market who has some experience with the Cowboys. If you want to go that route, it's up to you. But okay, Danny.
Wait, who? Oh, Cole Beasley.
Yeah. Danny Gray.
Didn't Emmanuel Sanders play at SMU?
He did. Yeah.
Isn't he a free agent too?
I actually think he is a free agent, but he's kind of, and I don't want to like turn this into like bashing the Cowboys, but he's kind of like an NFL mercenary right now. Like all he does is sign with like would be contenders, and like he after the Broncos he was traded to the 49ers. He was on that team that went to the Super Bowl. Then he signed with the Saints and he signed with the Bills. So yeah. I mean, he's just kind of like he's gonna like end up on the Chargers or the Bengals. Like that's the like Emmanuel Sanders play. So okay, Danny Gray, we ready?
I would love it.
All right,
make sure.
Okay, the Lions, who are they taking in between? Okay, they take a linebacker. We're fine. Where do you want to go here? Maybe you want to go linebacker. I have a stupid thing to say. All right. I haven't interjected a lot. Okay, but I mentioned at the very top, we're recording this on Saturday, Greg Zuerlein signed by the New York Jets. They don't have a kicker, right?
Yeah, kickers are here?
They've re-signed Brian Anger.
Is the LSU kid around?
Let's see.
We got Dicker the kicker.
You could go that direction. There's a lot of people watching who are going to say that. I mean, they could wait. And Matt Ariza is somebody. Is it Ariza? I actually don't know. I've only ever read it. But I mean, you need a kicker. You need you don't need a punter. You already re-signed Brian Anger. And you could wait for, rookie free agency, undrafted free agency, whatever you want to call it. I mean, or you could just get your kicker right now and have him on cheap money for 4 years and be good to go.
Yeah. I mean, I don't hate it. I mean, I don't love drafting specialists, but the only thing I hate more than drafting specialists is paying specialists.
Which they just paid Brian Anger, right?
So we're getting ready to get to a point where we're either going to have to draft a guy or pay a guy. And the good thing is you spend your last pick on, we spend your last pick on a kicker that is making zero money. So you're kind of, you're taking one stone and kicking the other. But yeah, I mean, I think that could be I'm sure the people listening are just angry because they have a player that they're like, oh my God,
I mean, again, we don't have to do it. I'm just for the purposes we're gonna do mock drafts every week. Again, mock draft Monday here on the Black and Boys YouTube channel. Nobody does mock draft Monday except for us. I mean, it's worth talking about out loud.
Let's see what tackles are left.
Yeah, again, I'm not saying this has to happen. I'm just saying, that's what it looks like. All right, if you're wondering what there was, that's what there was. I'm just here to be people's voices.
Is a TCU kid around still? You see him around? He must have got drafted.
No, I don't know where he went. But
just wondering.
Cowboys tackle situation currently, again, just for the purposes of throwing things out. They've got Tyron Smith. They don't have Lyle Collins. Terrence Steele. Who's your swing tackle right now? Josh Ball? I mean,
yes, guy they drafted in the
fourth round last year. I mean, they have that's the one position that they haven't addressed in free agency to protect themselves. I do think that shoe is probably going to drop at some point just based on their history. But yeah.
What just real quick, please, what centers are left?
Let's see here. So by the way, we're just looking at all offensive linemen right now, unless you want me to get rid of the tackles.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Boston College kid's gone, it looks like.
Yeah, I think I saw his name fly by. And we just saw the Nebraska center go to Cincinnati. They are just committed to the offensive line here. So what do you want to do,
Connor? Cade Mays is a guy that he's listed as a tackle, but I think he's going to be interior guy at the next level from Tennessee.
Position flex.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a position to go. And I hear they like the receiver, Velus Jones from Tennessee, so maybe they just have some interest in the Tennessee program this year. Yeah, let's go with Cade Mays. I
Done.
think he's a guy that could play tackle if he needs to, but I think he'll be a better guard than a tackle. But we talk about the position flex and how much they like to be able to move guys around, and they got that with Kenyon Green. Played some tackle, he played guard, he played center. I think for a couple snaps throughout his career at A&M. So they got versatility in the first round, and then they draft a guy in Cade Mays who is going to be a guy who will probably project as a guard, but came out of college as a tackle and has that experience and could play out there if you needed him to. I think he
Reggie
might have played
Roberson
center too as well.
I took the screen off while the mock finishes, or the simulator finishes rather, and your boy Reggie Roberson went to the Texans. So nothing really super interesting so far. No, nothing. It's tackle city. Like there's tackle after tackle after tackle.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking at my notes on Mays.
Sincere McCormick went to the Jaguars here, by the way.
And that's a sneaky. I mean, again, I think they could add a running back in this class. I love.
It's a contract year for Tony Pollard.
Contract year for Tony Pollard, maybe an out for Ezekiel Elliott next year, right?
Yeah, well, they're not going to pay Tony. Like that's the thing. Like right. they're just in no, because and then they're going to get killed by some people, and they're going to be like, "Well, you got mad when we paid Zeke," and we're going to be like, right. That's not the same thing.
Yeah, one guy has 70 total carries over the last 4 years.
Okay, it is grading our draft. Here we go.
I was looking at Cade Mays' notes that I have, and he actually played all 5 positions at Tennessee. So you talk about versatility. Can play left side, right side, center. Projects as a guard center, probably more so than a tackle. But I mean, we know that they absolutely love versatility, and that's the definition of versatile.
Are you ready to see your grade, Connor?
It's probably an F because we took a lot of reaches according to their grade.
All right, here is the grade from BFF. You got a C for the pick of Kenyon Green. I mean, again, it was a reach. We talked about it then. In fact, the only pick that is not average or below was Otito, friend of talking.
I know how to get him, man.
Friend of Talking the Draft, friend of Blogging the Boys, Danny Gray, a D-, one of the the worst grade handed out here among them all. Holy crap.
Let's be real quick though. There's a really good chance that Kenyon Green and Quay Walker both go in the first round. This is why I love these things though too, because sometimes they're fun to do, but sometimes I look at it and I'm like, Quay Walker's been rumored to go ahead of Nakobe Dean, almost to the point now where you expect it to happen. Sam Williams is a guy who wouldn't shock me if he goes top 50.
Especially with the buzz picking up as of late, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. Like the dude tested like an absolute freak at the combine. He had 12 and a half sacks, I think, this year from Ole Miss. Like he has the production. He's got the explosiveness. He's got a ton of off the field that kind of is the reason I think he might fall a little bit. Jelani Woods is literally just graded out as the most athletic tight end prospect ever, according to Matt Baum's RAS score. And then again, I like what we did on day 3. Again, a lot of people don't love Kevin Austin just because they don't know the name. But I think when you watch him, there's a lot of things I like with his game. And those Notre Dame guys, they always get kind of slept on. And then they come out and they play better than they did at Notre Dame. And I think that you always scout the player, not the team. But you see the Miles Boykins, who no one really cared about. You see the Chase Claypools, who a lot of people had late on day 3s. And they always come out and they're great athletes. Notre Dame does a great job in their weight training program, and they always come to the league and make a impact. So,
Otito again gets the A to kind of finish things off. Danny Gray was an admitted reach, right? It was an admitted preference, and that's what it comes down to. At the very end, it's just preference. It's who cares about grade. There's no pick that happens at the end of day 3 that everybody's like, holy crap, you just pulled one over the entire league. So it's all about preference, all about guys and relationships you've developed and you're into at that point. But I think generally speaking, if we go back to a macro viewpoint, Connor, you've addressed guard. That was arguably the biggest need on the team right now, right? We've addressed linebacker, so you've kept your queen on the board mobile with Micah Parsons. So now your linebacker room is Quay Walker, Leighton Vander Esch, Jabril Cox, whatever else.
Michael Parsons, yeah, like
I mean, well, yeah, Micah's obviously that. I mean,
right,
Micah's,
right.
floats in and out. You've addressed edge rusher, even though you didn't get Randy Gregory back. So now you've added Dante Fowler to the mix, and Sam Williams. So, okay. You have Dorrance Armstrong coming back as well. You have Chauncey Golston in year 2. I mean, not terrible. You've addressed tight ends, so you've protected yourself from having to pay Dalton Schultz. You still have Sean McEwen as an option. So the future of tight end is seemingly on the rise. You've added 2 wide receivers. Again, you've lost Amari Cooper and Cedric Wilson. Not that these are them, but you have depth, especially in a season where Michael Gallup might not be ready at the beginning. You have doubled down on the interior of the defensive line. You've given Dan Quinn another project to kind of work with, hopefully an Osa Odigizua 2.0 sort of thing. Hey, back-to-back years. I know we talked about Otito, but you get a UCLA defensive tackle whose first and last name starts with the letter O. Pretty unique thing. And then you've given yourself another tackle. I think at the end of this draft, that's probably the position I feel the worst about on the Cowboys.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, Cade Mays played tackle, but he's going to project as a guard center, so he's really
that's what I'm saying. So you didn't really address tackle. You know what I mean? Like you did on paper. That's the one spot, especially considering who Tyron is, that you're a little bit up a creek on right now.
That's why we drafted Josh Ball last year. He's got to get in the way. He's got to be ready to play in year 2.
Okay. What grade would you give yourself?
I mean, so I love first round pick. I love this. I mean, I feel like again, I'm using my grades, but Kenyon Green, top 20 player for me. Quay Walker, top 50 player for me. Sam Williams, top 50 player for me. Jelani Woods, top 100 player for me. Otito's, probably going to be like in that 125 range. Kevin Austin. I mean, again, like for me, the only like what quote unquote reach I would say was Kevin Austin. Just because we took, in my opinion, best player available in those first 4 rounds. So, you set aside a need for, we got a freakish tight end that can come in and, be a red zone threat. He's 6'7". He's a stud athlete. Like, we helped our offense, even though it's not the position we were maybe hoping for. Sam Williams, a guy who has probably first round talent and ability in athletic testing, but there's some off the field there. So we went with an edge over a wide receiver. So I would love.
And you traded up to do it. And I think like if somebody's, that's the one thing we haven't really addressed. Somebody says like, oh, why did you trade up there? It's because you have a top 50 grade on him and you got him at 85. So, I mean, totally worth, your 6th round pick to get that value.
I mean, if you're on Twitter, you're seeing a lot of the talk now. It's like, they're like, I'd like it at 56. I'd love it at 88. And I mean, I'd love it at 56. I just think that dude can play, and he's
now for all we know, Sam Williams falls to 88. Maybe that's the one misstep and call it a misstep, but it was really a change of mind. We jumped up from 88 to 85 to go get a receiver, and we didn't do that. So maybe not sticking to those guns might have been what painted the rest of this weird picture. But we still did get Jelani Woods later.
Only thing I hate about the PFF simulator is you can't see the play. Like when you trade up, it doesn't show you the players available as the draft's going, and then when you trade up, you can't see what players are available. So I was thinking a Mechie would be there, and I think he went like 2 picks before. Even though I tweeted it yesterday, like Mechie tore his ACL at the end of the year for Alabama. Like they're not going to have Gallup and Mechie both recovering from ACLs. But I mean, again, like I wish we could have gotten a receiver earlier, but we have no one else to blame but ourselves for creating a hole that we really didn't fill.
Okay, well, maybe next week we use a different simulator. There's lots of great ones. There's a Draft Network, PFN. This week was PFF. What do you think? Let us know in the comments down below. Connor is on Twitter at Connor NFL Draft. We'll be back, of course, next Monday for another edition of Mock Draft Monday. Nobody does that, Connor. Nobody. Super unique intellectual property right there. Any final thoughts before we literally leave?
No, I mean, like I said, I think this is a pretty real. You see a lot of mock drafts where you get Tyler Linderbaum, and then
which we could have,
right? Like you see all these drafts where you get 5 second round players in your draft, and sometimes I do like these because like at the end of them, you're kind of like, man, we didn't really get like these all pro level guys, but that's not the way the draft works. I mean, you had a lot of the times you draft guys and 3 of them work out, or you draft a solid floor. You have a solid floor draft, but you don't get your Micah Parsons, and you don't have your just draft where you pop all 5 picks. So, I like these realistic scenarios because it gives people a more realistic idea of like, hey, this is the way it could literally play out, not CeeDee Lamb falling, Micah Parsons falling, blah blah blah. It's just gives you.
I do think that that's painted a really wonky picture as far as recent memory for Cowboys fans, is the fact that those are the 2 players who have fallen to them into recent drafts. Like, nobody really fell to them in 2019. Granted, they didn't have the first round pick. I know everybody wanted Juan Thornhill or Taylor Rapp, but like that wasn't like falling. That was like the appropriate value. Nobody really fell to them in 2018. Like remember, we thought that night that Derwin James was going to fall. He didn't make it,
Well, and like last year, we thought that Surtain or Horn would be there,
right.
And they didn't, So like I love stuff when I do them every once in a while. I love kind of these off scenarios where it's like, damn, George Pickens wasn't there at 56, or dang, Sky Moore went early, like, because it just makes you think more. It's like, okay, so what do we do? Do we reach for a receiver here? And we try to add some Cowboys like, thought process behind this.
We have to consider the roster, their history, what we know about them and whatnot. So,
because I would have, just to close out, like, I probably would have drafted Jalen Tolbert there at 56, but there's nothing that says that they're going to draft a South Alabama receiver in the top 60. They've just never gone that route.
Well, today will be remembered.
Tune in to Talking the Start on Wednesday, and you'll hear
Talking the Draft. It's called Talking the Start during the season. Talking the Draft.
Talking the Draft on Wednesday, and you'll hear from Jalen Tolbert.
And from Mark Schofield, who is also extremely wise. If you are watching this, you know Mark from the Dak Watch series that we did. He and Connor co-host Talking the Draft. All right, Connor, let's get out of here. Very last question for you. Like I said, today is Saturday, March 26th. What are you going to be eating for dinner tonight?
I have no clue.
What would you like to eat for dinner? If you could choose anything right now.
Just to piss people off who follow me on Twitter, hard tacos, hard shell, crunchy tacos. That's what I want to eat tonight.
That's disgusting. Connor, see you later. Thanks everybody for joining us.